Well, what do we have here? U.S. payrolls benchmark revision estimates suggests labor market weaker than previously thought. So hey, I guess this is our latest episode of Keeping Up with the Tariffs. Trump doesn't know how to run an economy, and because of his I don't know complete utter stupidity, and also the deportations also play a role in this. So people are too afraid to get jobs. That there's been a revision to the payrolls benchmark, which basically means depending on how many people and how much people get paid, right? Because we've taken basically a look into this before. A lot of the jobs that are being replaced, I suppose, for lack of a better term, with all the much better jobs are mostly like shittier, more lower paying part time work. Because again, due to just how terrible the labor market is within the United States, and it's not only the United States, it's also terrible up here in Canada. Given how bad it is, a lot of people are very, very desperate to just take whatever they can get, so they're more than willing going to take multiple sort of, lower wage part time work because they just have to be able to put food on the table and be able to pay some kind of their bills. Yeah, but what do we got here? What's this video?
Significantly weaker than reported. Data from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics on Tuesday showed that 911,000 fewer jobs were created in the 12 months through March than previously estimated.
911,000 jobs. So obviously this isn't to 100% attribute to the Trump administration. So if it would have been 12 months from then, which this would have been what, September? Yeah, September of last year through March. Part of it is a lot of Trump, I would say, because of the stupid belligerence of the tariffs. But also, let's be honest here, the economy was starting to face some fucking problems right around the end of Joe Biden's tenure. And I would mostly attribute that to a lot of the failures of Build Back Better because it didn't go as far as it should have because of Joe Manchin being a little fucking bastard. And the thing is that it was the broader sort of economic analysis within the United States is sort of seen as this: the economy, because of COVID, was in a state of recovery, right? Like, that's not ridiculous to say. It's a recovering economy. It's not the best, but it's on the up and up. But it's basically very, very unstable. And if there's an idiot like Trump who decides to come in and fuck with a bunch of economic policy with the tariffs as an example, it could potentially cause a collapse. And we're starting to see a lot of the sort of byproducts of that fucking collapse because of the, utter recklessness of, say, the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the fucking tariffs. We're starting to see a lot of the effects of that.
The report comes on the heels of last Friday's non-farm payrolls data that showed job growth in August nearly stalled, and the economy shed jobs in June for the first time in 4.5 years.
So that's the classic stagflation, for example, right? If jobs are going down but inflation is going up, that's exactly what stagflation means. Which is the one thing that the Fed is supposed to manage. It is supposed to take care of, the jobs numbers and also inflation. The problem is due to a lot of the tariffs that Trump basically thought the businesses were supposed to take on the chin because that's how he thought it would work, which is very, very stupid. I mean, it tells you just how much of a fucking idiot he is, that he doesn't even understand the basics of capitalist economy. Very cool, despite being a billionaire. Very fucking cool. It is rather telling that he doesn't understand any of these basics. That he just thought this is probably a state that can just be kind of maintained. It is probably okay. Fuck it, whatever. And we've already examined this. First off, the main people who are going to suffer the most from this is going to be small businesses because they don't have the amount of capital that a lot of the more multinational conglomerates have in comparison. They don't have as many, say, as much inventory in comparison to them or storage spaces in compared to them, because when Trump won, people were anticipating tariffs to cause some form of like short-term instability. So a lot of people decided to stock up on a bunch of different goods in order to make their products or whatever within warehouses, yada yada yada, because they saw like, yeah, there may be some problems here because of these tariffs. And a lot of people got caught with their pants down saying like, well, we were anticipating that's not going to be as big of an issue. Like maybe Trump will just like fixate on this for like a little bit and then just kind of like forget about it, have like a dementia moment and not think about it anymore. It turns out that's not the case. He's still doing all the tariffs and he's still doing a lot of fucking stupid bullshit. So that's really, really cool. Yeah, exactly, Alex. Also, small businesses can't bribe Trump to make exceptions, like how Apple is exempt from Chinese tariffs. Exactly. All the automobile manufacturers are like basically begging Trump for some kind of relief. I know that a bunch of farmers are also trying to beg Trump for some kind of relief. Is that going to work out for them? That's up to you to decide. Personally, he might do it because, well, the farmers are all incredibly fucking chud-coded and tended to vote for Trump, so he might do that because he has gotten some form of material benefit. But who really knows if he's going to do it? That's like a complete wild card kind of a deal, so who the fuck knows?
Tuesday's annual revision of the jobs report is a preliminary estimate. A final revision will be released in February. In addition to being hobbled by uncertainty stemming from trade policy, the labor market has been pressured by the White House's immigration crackdown, which has undercut labor supply.
And that's the same thing I fucking said. This is literally from the Georgia Hyundai fucking battery plant right here. Because, again, like, guys, it turns out if you just have a bunch of Gestapo freaks basically putting your migrant population that you rely on a labor pool to basically threaten them constantly with deportations and illegal detentions, it may have some problems on the economy. Listen, we all remember the footage of, like, I don't know, for like lack of a better term, the fucking slave catching. I mean, that sounds like rather morbid and grim, but that's like literally the exact same fucking thing that happened over in California. Boy meets Minnie, you can probably attest to this shit, where like a bunch of ICE agents were just like chasing down migrant farm workers with a bunch of basically with the intention of just trying to detain and deport them, which it's really funny because Trump had to come out and say like, we love our farmers, you know, we can't be doing any of this stuff. They need their workers because it's tough work, let me tell you folks. Because he, like an idiot, basically thought that American board workers were going to be the ones who want to take all those jobs, when it's just like, no, the fuck they aren't. Why did you ever think that? When did you ever think that was going to be the case? Wow, you're a fucking idiot for ever thinking that that was going to ever happen. But whatever. It's Trump. Brain cooked, soup, dumbass, idiot, dumbass, idiot, stupid head.
But Tuesday's report, which revises data collected from April 2024 through March 2025, suggests that job growth was stalling even before President Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs on imports.
Yes, and I think that's probably because of the sort of general affordability crisis that was happening, right? Everything was starting to become more expensive. Now, a lot of, like, dumbasses will say it's because of all the liberal spending or the whatever, which is just like, huh? I mean, there was always going to be a sort of bump in the road as the sort of, like, transitioning, because, again, as I mentioned before, the economy was in a state of bouncing back, so there's going to be a little bit of a dip, potentially, until it goes back up and becomes better. President Trump came into power just as the economy was beginning to bounce back up, right? In terms of things trying to become more affordable. And then Trump comes in just as this transitionary step was happening. Because I know everyone was complaining about there being an affordability crisis, and they're correct. There was an affordability crisis as a result of corporate price gouging from the global inflation that happened throughout the times of like about 2022 to 2023. A lot of corporations were basically upcharging on their products to make people pay more during inflation, which is greedflation, basically. A bunch of greedy corporations decided to charge people more because of inflation, trying to justify it. It's like, oh, well, it's the inflation, it's the economy. It's like really bad right now, so we're going to justify upcharging and upscaling our charges upon people, which is just like, that's not how that works. That's pretty fucking scummy of you to do. Kind of shitty. Not good. Not cool. Not good. It's not cool. You're making it worse on the American people. Can't believe you would do that. And that was the thing that was leading to the affordability crisis, or one of the main reasons as to why the affordability crisis was happening, but also because of the bouncing back from fucking COVID. And the economy was starting to bounce back. Prices were starting to come down. And Trump comes in, starts doing all the fucking tariffs, and causing ridiculous amount of instability. And he just basically is making it worse. The bounce back is now turning into a downturn.
Sharp downgrades last month to May and June employment figures angered Trump, who fired Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntyre, accusing her without evidence of faking the employment data.
Which is really funny because there was also a huge revision of the jobs numbers during Trump's first term, and he didn't fire the BLS commissioner. It's kind of like just sort of a more of a looking glass into the sort of like ridiculous instability of Trump and sycophancy, more than likely, that's around him.
Trump has nominated Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antony to replace her.
A stooge.
Antony, who has penned opinion pieces critical of the BLS and even suggested suspending the monthly jobs report, is viewed as unqualified.
Which is obviously stupid for a lot of fucking reasons, but what he got here. U.S. economy likely created 911,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March than previously estimated. The government said on Tuesday, suggesting that job growth was already stalling because of President Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs on imports. Which, again, like I've said before, there's a reason why that's really fucking stupid to do that, because every single time the corporations are going to furlough that cost onto the fucking consumer, because they're only going to take it on the chin for so fucking long. They're going to be like, we're going to have to start raising prices. We've read before an article saying of all the different companies and all the different dealerships, corporations, stores, whoever you can go through, like, it doesn't matter. Like, literally all of the fucking retailers, all the different, differing sort of, day-to-day item sellers, I guess, for lack of a better term, and automobile companies, basically every type of company under the sun has been saying, like, yeah, we're going to raise our prices. We're all going to be raising our prices. Everyone said that they're going to start raising their prices, well, because of the tariffs. Because it turns out if you just do forehead tariffs, that's not going to be a good way at being able to make a very, very good economy that was trying to bounce back. It's really, really fucking stupid. Sometimes it really is just that fucking stupid. And it was inevitable that they were going to start to raise prices on the American people. This happens, I don't know, basically every single time with companies, because of course they want to make up lost profits somehow, and they're going to do the most obvious thing. But like, Trump doesn't seem to understand that for some reason. It's very silly. The preliminary annual benchmark revision estimate to the closely watched payrolls data from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics followed on the heels of news last Friday that job growth almost stalled in August and the economy shed jobs in June for the first time in 4.5 years. Revision estimate is equivalent to 76,000 fewer jobs per month. Oof, that's a lot, right? 12 months, 911,000. That's about 76,000, something like that. Implied that non-farm payroll gains averaged about 71,000 per month instead of 147,000. Economists had expected the estimated revision to be between 4 million and 1 million jobs. This means labor market momentum is being lost from an even weaker position than originally thought. So basically, the theoretical snowball, it's getting worse. It's gaining more and more momentum, because there was already troubles within the recovery of the economy, and we can sort of attribute that to the fact that the economy was trying to start to bounce back. Now, of course, a lot of people didn't feel very good with the economy, because like, you can be like, oh, all the like the stock market's looking good and all these other metrics of wealthy people are starting to feel good, or we're going well. kind of a deal because of a lot of the economic policies that Joe Biden did throughout his presidency. But a lot of people weren't feeling that because, again, of the affordability crisis due to the global inflation and a lot of corporations taking advantage of that and just upcharging for a lot of their products, which is dishonest, but whatever. And that's why a lot of people felt like the economy was bad, right? Because the economy was still in a state of recovery. And now Trump came in and decided to basically just be like, yeah, we're going to throw out the one who gives a fuck and just do a bunch of stupid bullshit and nonsense. Between the immigration crackdowns affecting labor supply and also the tariffs affecting, well, the importing of goods that a lot of these American companies need to make their fucking products, it's just basically like a perfect storm to just make this recovering economy go into a complete fucking downturn. So, and basically just undid all of the sort of policies that Joe Biden put in during his fucking tenure. So that's cool, I guess. In addition to being hobbled by uncertainty stemming from trade policy, the labor market has also been pressured by the White House's immigration crackdown, which has undercut labor supply. Funnily enough about this, because another factor that's also going on is because due to the uncertainty in tariffs, a lot of American businesses are starting to fire people, right? And this is like a quick note here. A lot of people have been now filing for jobless benefits last week. And this would have been about, what? This was September 11th? So it would have been about the week of September 4th, about 2 weeks ago. And then at this point, I'm not sure if it's gotten worse. I guess we're going to figure out in about a month if it has gone any worse. But people filing for jobless benefits hitting 263,000, that's a big fucking problem. Like, it's the most in nearly 4 years, because what happened 4 years ago? Oh, that was COVID, right? Another grim sign for the U.S. labor market, jobless claim applications jumped to their highest level in almost 4 years last week, assuring that the Federal Reserve is going to now cut the interest rate, because, again, what's the Fed's job? Maintain jobs numbers and also inflation. Well, now inflation's going up because of the tariffs, and people are, as a result, because of the tariffs, cutting back on jobs. A lot more people are losing their jobs and claiming, well, jobless benefits and are applying for unemployment, meaning that it's just causing literally everything possible to just make the economy go into a fucking downturn. Yeah, this is I think this is basically the exact same shit that fucking happened in Argentina, because, I don't know, it's just a collection of sycophantic fucking dipshits who are running those fucking economies, and it's just basically causing a complete shitstorm where it's just going to be a complete fucking downturn. So it's getting fucking worse, people. A shift by businesses to artificial intelligence tools and automation, it also is curbing demand for workers. That's not a bad point, right? Like, we all know about, like, those HR, like, dudes who are doing AI sort of, like, bullshit with, like, jobs interviews and whatnot. It's just like, dog, why the fuck am I talking to an AI robot or some shit about my job? That's so fucking weird, bro. Once a year, the BLS compares its non-farm payrolls data based on monthly surveys of a sample of employers with a much more complete database of unemployment insurance tax records, the quarterly census of employment and wages data. Oh, yeah, the Peronists are going to destroy Malay's party. That's fucking funny. That's true. Economists have attributed the revisions to the birth and death model, a method the BLS uses to try to estimate how many jobs were gained or lost because of companies opening or closing in a given month. These companies are not initially available for sampling. Though economists at Goldman Sachs agreed that the labor market has softened materially, they cautioned the revision estimate was too excessive. They noted the QCEW was prone to upward revisions and might have difficulties accounting for unauthorized immigrants. Oh, that makes sense, right? Because a lot of unauthorized immigrants are probably not going to be in a lot of the data, because it's probably going to be mostly recording of that of citizens, right? But, I mean, it's still not going to really attribute to the problems within the economy, because a lot of those, well, illegal immigrants are, generally speaking, used as a part of a lot more, I suppose, like menial labor, which I guess does not account as much. I mean, a lot of like how many like small businesses probably and like farms and shit. Obviously, other companies sort of have undocumented migrants as a part of the labor pool. Construction as well, for example. A bunch of different places, obviously. Our own model of net job gains from firm births and deaths, one of the key points of uncertainty in monthly payrolls growth that the benchmarking process corrects for, suggests a downward revision of around 550,000 or 45,000 per month via that channel, they wrote in a note. While the BLS's birth death adjustment for non-farm payrolls was probably too generous in second half of 2024, we estimate that the overstatement has since narrowed to around 10,000 jobs per month, cautioning about extrapolating too much from the benchmark revision. Last year, the preliminary estimate for payrolls was revised down by 818,000 jobs in the 12 months through March 2024. Payrolls were in the end downgraded by 598,000 jobs. So I guess it's we're pretty much just going to have to just wait and see what happens, because these are all revisions, these are all estimates, but I don't think it's like really hyperbolic or ridiculous to assume that because of the tariffs and the immigration crackdown that Trump is doing, it's definitely not helping the situation. Now, could it be as bad as it really is? I mean, that depends on the numbers that decide to come out. I mean, with like stooges being put into power, it throws a lot of doubt in the wind in terms of the numbers or the attempts at putting in stooges to power. It's going to probably throw a lot of doubts in the wind of all the different numbers, right? Because if there's a bunch of like dumbasses that Trump only approves of, we all know they're just going to be sycophants to him, which could potentially cause these numbers to be even less accurate, which could, well, cause even more downturns in the economy and make this essentially this theoretical snowball only get worse and worse and worse. But then again, the problem is that Trump, the only thing he cares about, and this is the real issue, he thinks that the metric for measuring what is a successful economy is the stock market numbers, which for anyone with half a fucking brain cell can understand that's just like completely delusional. The fact that he thinks that that is the only objective metric for what is a successful economy is very silly and reckless for fairly obvious reasons, I would have to probably say, because a lot of people don't have stocks. Most of the people that participate in the stock market tend to be, well, the rich, corporations, the rich, all those different people, not your average Joe Schmo. So I don't know, like everything might actually just be completely worse than everyone really thought. It's crazy. Leisure and hospitality employment was estimated to be revised down by 176,000 jobs over the 12 months through March. Trade, transportation, utilities payrolls could be slashed by 226,000 positions, while professional and business services employment was projected to be reduced by 158,000 jobs. Manufacturing employment could be lowered by 95,000 jobs. Well, so much for all of these policies that Trump thinks is going to increase manufacturing. It's actually going down and, becoming worse. I guess that's like one thing that's consistent from his first term is the fact that, well, he lost manufacturing jobs during his tenure. At least one thing's consistent, right? Government employment was estimated to be cut by 31,000 positions. Modest upgrades were estimated for only the transportation and warehousing and utilities industries. I think that makes sense, especially with the warehousing industries, because of the fact that a lot of these companies were importing in a bunch of extra stock, which, by the way, is starting to run out or has run out for a bunch of different companies because of the fact that they were anticipating some instabilities within the economy. So it makes sense that transportation, warehouse, and utilities industries probably saw some kind of upgrades, and they're probably not sort of seeing as many consequences of the tariffs quite yet, because a bunch of corporations imported in a bunch of stuff anticipating that there was going to be instabilities in the economy because of Trump. U.S. financial markets were a little moved by the report. Economists continue to expect the Federal Reserve would resume cutting interest rates next Wednesday with a quarter-point reduction after pausing its easing cycle in January because of uncertainty over the impact of tariffs. That was why initially Jerome Powell didn't want to cut the interest rates, because he didn't know exactly what was going to go on with the tariffs. But now that the jobs numbers are starting to go down, because the idea here, and it's a bit of a gamble, the basic premise of the idea of cutting the rates is that it'll help job growth, because corporations are going to be able to have more money to invest into their businesses in order to hire more people, thus trying to spur some form of circulation of the economy, because more people are going to get paid. It's going to have more money in people's hands so they can pay for stuff and thus allow for the flow of money. In reality, I don't think that's exactly how that's going to happen. What I think might potentially happen, and this has been one of Trump's goals the whole time, is that he wants the bond market to basically be like, I don't know, a way to help more people inflate their wealth through the fucking stock market. Again, the only metric that Trump cares about as for what is a successful economy is if the stock market is high. If he wants to basically have the bond market also be like used as a way to help with the fucking stock market gambling machine, then he probably would try to do things to incentivize that exact sort of relationship, I guess is the term I'm going to go for here. We'll go with relationship. With the consumer price data on Thursday expected to show inflation pressures building in August, the estimated revisions could fan fears of stagflation. Well, I mean, it's already pretty much happening that. And yeah, you're right, Boy Meets Me. I mean, the bond market has already been shitting the bed because of, well, all the stupid, complete utter nonsense. And yeah, it is also a big part of the AI bubble, right? Like, that's true. I mean, you know it's bad if Sam Altman is also saying that there's a fucking goddamn AI bubble that's probably going to fucking burst. So, it's not great. Oh yeah, definitely. They know that. Like, listen, it's gonna be like the whole Big Short shit, yada yada yada. Yeah, of his own creation. Because I mean, it's like the exact same shit before. Obviously, AI is a fucking bubble because there's no product or anything that's really being sold with AI besides like a couple of chatbots, and it's just like, well, how the fuck are they supposed to make money? How are you going to get the return on investment? And now like they're trying to do that through subscription models on like ChatGPT, for fuck's sake, for example, and it's just like, dog, that's not going to really work out as well as you think it is. It's so fucking stupid, man. Monthly employment report is based on the data derived from the current employment statistics program, which surveys about 121,000 businesses and government agencies, representing about 631,000 individual work sites. That's a lot, Jesus. The QCEW data is derived from reports by employers to the state unemployment insurance programs, which represent about 95% of total employment. Sharp downgrades last month to May and June employment figures totaling about 258,000 jobs angered Trump. Yeah, that's what prompted him to fire the current BLS commissioner, Erica McEntreferter, which he had a higher fucking revision of those job numbers during his first term. It was like 500,000. He didn't fire the fucking commissioner. So I mean, it's so stupid. Of course, there was no evidence. We've seen this already. So, and the reason why he's obviously trying to nominate E.J. Antoni to replace Erica McEntreferter is because he's, criticized the BLS, and he's just a complete fucking stooge. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt told reporters the revision estimated vindicated Trump. Huh? The downgrade of about 911,000 jobs? Really? I mean, we know people are fucking losing a bunch of jobs, and the labor market is like really bad currently within the United States. People are having trouble finding jobs, so it's just like, no? Yeah, I mean, this is just fucking cope. 1,000%. And this makes it very clear that President Trump inherited a much worse economy. Well, by the way, this much worse economy is a part of... He has some fucking blame for the creation of this much worse economy because of his really bad fucking COVID policy, which Joe Biden had to come in, clean it up, and then try to implement in a bunch of economic policy in order to try to help the fact that, Trump made a fucking dog shit economy, right? Like, he had a good economy under Obama. He rode off the coattails of that and basically decided to tank all that shit because of COVID, because he didn't address the situation properly, left that complete utter shit show to the next administration, that being the Biden administration. They handled it somewhat decently, and then as a result, he is now coming in on a recovering economy, is doing utter stupid belligerent nonsense because he's a stupid moron, and he only has sycophants around him who are not going to stop him this time, and it's just making everything worse, and it's just going to become a fucking downturn instead. Like, when there's going to be recession, because it's not going to be if, it's when at this point. It's all because of his own making at this point. And it also proves that the Federal Reserve is holding our monetary policy far too restrictive. The only reason why they're doing what you want now is because of your tariff belligerent nonsense, which almost makes me think that he wanted that on purpose. Like, obviously, I have no evidence for that whatsoever. Maybe he wanted to do, like, the tariffs on purpose to incentivize his Wall Street buddies to be able to gamble on the bond market or some shit. I don't know. It's nonsense. BLS, like other statistical agencies, has suffered from years of inadequate funding under both Democratic and Republican administrations, mostly because the Republicans want to do everything possible to make public services as terrible as possible for the express purpose of having to be more reliant on the, well, private market. That's why. The National Association of Business Economics on Monday urged policymakers, business insiders, and the economics community to stand with BLS and ensure that America's statistics remain accurate, independent, and trusted worldwide. Any political retaliation due to today's release will harm the ability for BLS to prove timely and unbiased statistics, said Elisa Gold, a senior economist at the Economic Policy Institute. So I guess the economy is still shit in the bed. It's getting worse and worse and worse because, well, people are not getting paid as well based off of the payroll revisions. And a lot more people are starting to apply for fucking unemployment. So that's cool. And I guess Donald Trump is going to get exactly what he wants because of all the stupid nonsense he's doing with his goddamn tariffs and his just general bad immigration crackdown and terrible economic policies. Because again, guys, it turns out if you trust the guy who bankrupted 6 businesses, including a fucking casino for fuck's sake, he might not be a very effective steward at being able to run the most powerful, largest economy on the planet. I know, kind of like a crazy, ridiculous thing to say, but I don't know. Like, what else is there to say besides great, fantastic? We're now all going to suffer the consequences of this because most of us are fucking tied to the hip of the fucking United States economy and it performing well. And then now we have this complete, utter belligerent buffoon who's in power and in charge and thinks, well, I could do everything better because I'm smart and have good businesses and I know how to economy well. And he's just doing random bullshit that's just making everything worse. So that's cool. That's great. That now we have to deal with the consequences of this, well, complete, utter fucking moron. Don't think there's really much else to say besides that.